Welcome back to Sports Show. We've been talking about the Olympics a lot, of course, because they've just started. Been a big pump up. Our next guest, three-time Olympian, 17 years with the same club, the Adelaide 36ers, superstar here in Adelaide. Brett Maher joins us. Marzi, thanks for your time.
Yeah, thanks, Phil.
Good to see you, mate. Just the three Olympic Games, mate. There's always that buzz and the build-up to the Olympic Games, but this one's been different. How have you seen the build-up to Tokyo?
Yeah, I've been asked a little bit whether I'd go or not, and I said to my wife I'd definitely go. I mean, the opportunity to play for your country. I got a text, I'm sure as you would have, that we're one of only 3,988 Australians to have represented the country, so it's a huge honour. So I'd go, but yeah, the build-up, it's going to be really weird with the opening ceremony in front of no people and playing in front of no one. So yeah, I don't know what to think of it, but both teams are looking really good and no one's lost yet, so that's a good thing.
With the crowds, you just mentioned the crowds. Basketball's a game where they really get involved, don't they? They really do. At Olympic level, or at any level really, you get a pump up from the crowd. I mean, the Sixers would have pumped you up a few times. How's it going to be, do you think, with the players out there who don't like playing in front of no people?
I think a lot of the players will be used to it now. I know in the NBA, they're in bubbles and in front of no one, and certainly here we did it for a while, and in Europe as well. So I think a lot of the basketballers will be used to it. I think the Japanese team are going to miss out the most. I remember playing at the Sydney Olympics, and it was a huge thrill to play in front of your own fans. And even at the other Olympics, you have a reasonable contingent of Australians that get in to support you, and they make a lot of noise, so it is a big bonus.
And you notice them, don't you? It's like the Aussies have a team that follow them in the cricket, wherever they play. You know they're there.
It's not only family, but like guys like Laurie Lawrence, who was a big part of the teams that we went away with. They paint their face, and they get a lot of other athletes there, and they make a huge amount of noise. And you know, after the game, you're going to go back with those athletes and celebrate about the win or whatever. So it is something that is a big loss for those guys. And as I said, with the opening ceremony, that's one of my fondest memories of all three Olympics, and I just don't know how that's going to go at this one.
Mate, sorry, Phil. I've got to ask you this because Phil and I have spoken about this before. You mentioned that people have said to you, would you go if you were still playing and whatever and got picked, would you go? You said yes, I would go because there's nothing like representing your country. Now, we've had this argument, not an argument, a debate, Phil and I, over Ben Simmons. I'm livid with the man for not getting over there and representing his country. What are your thoughts on Ben not going and staying home to work on his game?
I've flipped 180 degrees. I was exactly like you to start with. I was extremely mad that a lot of players strive their whole life to play for their country. He has it put on a platter in front of him, and then he turns it down at the last minute. But watching him play for Philadelphia in those NBA finals, you saw a broken man, a guy that didn't want to shoot a layup for the fear of having to go to the free throw line because he was shooting at 30%. So he's obviously mentally broken, and to put him then into another pressure cooker representing your country, there is probably room for him to go down even a little bit further, to go from an NBA All-Star to someone that is in a really bad shape. I think potentially it's the right decision to just step away, get himself right, and then go back into it. Mental health's something that we don't know a lot about, and I'm at the old school where you just have a bit of cement and get on with it, but it's becoming more and more out there now, and I think we've just really got to treat it carefully.
Yeah, okay. Hey, mate, Atlanta, then Sydney, then Athens. So Sydney's the one at home where we achieved more medals than any other Olympics that Australia's been to. What do you reckon the difference was? Because you touched on a little bit there, you feel sorry for the people in Japan, they're not going to get the support that they could from their country. What was the big difference, you think, for you playing in Sydney as opposed to the other two?
I think we had one of our biggest contingents of that one as well. So we had a few more athletes, but I think that whole difference was some people just pulled some of their best performances ever out of the bag, and a lot of that would have to do with being in their home environment, in their home country, not having to travel, and also that home support. I think they're the big keys.
You know, when you sit at home now, TV's on, mate, or you're at the fire, he's working hard, so you wouldn't have time to watch TV there with you and the boys. But and suddenly you see, another athlete's tested positive to COVID. A couple of cleaners have gone positive to COVID. We've had to do this for COVID. Do you have that thought of, gee whiz, I'm glad I'm not at this one?
Well, I think they should have pushed it back, personally. I think they should have just said, look, let's just stop this one, push it back, push the next ones back. And especially for Japan as well, the amount of money that they've spent that they're going to be missing out on to try and make back, I think it's a little unfair to them as well. But, yeah, I mean, that's the way the cookie crumbles, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is.
If you had the choice, knowing what you know now, would you still go? Like today, we're sitting here going, athletes have got it, people are getting it. Some athletes are bound to come back with it. I think what most people didn't understand, in Australia, all our athletes were vaccinated. We did the right thing.
Yeah.
A lot of the other countries said, it's up to you. You know, out of respect for Tokyo, if you want to get vaccinated, that'd be great, but if you don't, then don't do it. So we know it's running rampant. It's rampant in the city. So it's in the village as well now. Would that deter you in any way?
I said to my wife, I'd definitely go. I said it'd be the safest place on earth. You know, the security to get in normally without COVID. There's machine guns, all the testing you got to go through. I know athletes are getting tested every day. I said to Tanya, there's no chance there'll be an athlete or anyone test positive in the village. 2 days later, someone tests positive in the village. So it'll just be a shame if it does. Everyone gets there and then they have to lock it down and none of it goes ahead. But yeah, it's going to be really hard to see how they're going to get through it without positive tests going through, because there's always going to be someone like a Liz Cambage that's going to go out and party in Las Vegas or do something silly with the potential of bringing it back in.
Mate, you said you sit there and talk with Tanya about it. What is? Because you're an Olympian, so you view it differently as an Olympian. You really do, you know, because you understand what it's like to go. What do you reckon her thoughts have been on it? Would she go if she was selected?
She said no, straight away. She was like, no, I wouldn't go, too many risks. But I think also you're dealing with the best athletes in the world in the prime of their life. The chance, even if they get COVID, the chance of it probably affecting them as much as an elderly person or someone that's sick in a really bad way is probably a lot less from what I understand.
And it's a one-off. It may be your only opportunity. That's the other thing. There's no guarantee you're going to be in your best
if you
form.
go to 3, mate, you're really good.
Well,
if you go to 4, then you're really good.
I'm glad I brought that up. I'm really glad I brought that up. But it is though, isn't it? Next, you don't know in 4 years' time how well you're going to be travelling, whether you're going to get a Guernsey or not in any sport.
Exactly.
So,
and you look at the boomers. You look at the boomers now. Their window is now because you've got guys like Joe Ingles, Paddy Mills, Matthew Dellavedova, all those guys that are, I don't want to put them at the end of their career, but they're certainly reaching that point and they're playing still some of their best basketball.
And we're close.
Yeah, we're right
there.
there.
My argument about Ben Simmons. We're so close to medal time for the Boomers, who deserve one. And yet a guy pulls out that could probably be a really key part. I understand your argument, but I think that my initial thought was the Boomers. I'm thinking about the Boomers. I'm thinking about Paddy Mills sitting there lounging around where he was. That photo on the paper was a great photo. Couldn't wait to get over there and play. And then on the other hand, you had Ben Simmons going, well, no, I'm not going.
Their chemistry could possibly be better without Ben Simmons.
Okay, yeah.
Although he's one of the best players in the world, I see their chemistry now. Everyone's got their roles set, and I really don't know with him playing how those roles would have changed. I think a fair bit.
Yeah.
And I was really happy to see with the Opals as well, with Liz Cambage pulling out, for them to turn around and beat America and still show that they are going to be very competitive.
That's a good point.
So it would be fantastic to see the men get their first medal and the girls to medal as per usual.
Yeah.
So it'd be good.
It'd be absolutely brilliant. I've got to ask this question because this is a rarity in sport. When you said it in the intro to Brett, 17 years with the one club.
It's outstanding.
That is a rarity, isn't it, today?
So it comes back to the bit you're talking about, the loyalty. That's the thing that stings you with Ben.
It does a lot, and that's why I brought it up again.
Yep.
Mate, so you must have had offers to go to the Brisbane whatever or the...
Ask him about New Zealand, mate.
Or New Zealand. You must have had plenty of people come, hey, mate, how about you step over here and have a game over here?
Yeah, I did. Right through, I got various offers, but I had a really good network set up here. I had my family, friends, and supportive people that I really enjoyed being in Adelaide. It was always my dream as a kid to play for the 36ers. And so for me, there was a lot of loyalty kind of just through that and built up. Yeah. There were probably some times when I probably should have left. And I was very, very close right towards the end, as Phil mentioned, to go to New Zealand. It came down to some crisis talks, but we got it over the line and I was able to stay here. So
And you played in some good teams. That was the other thing. You played in some great teams, in fact, for the Sixers, didn't you?
In Phil's era there, especially in those late 90s, early turn of the century, we had some cracker players to play with, Darnell Mees and Kevin Brooks and Mark Davis, those sort of guys. So I think when you've got a really competitive team, you want to try and hold it together. And it was probably only at the start of my career and at the end when we probably were a little bit off the mark, but still really enjoyable.
I saw an interview with Jack Riewoldt on his 300th game, and he'd gone the journey with Richmond where they couldn't win a game in the premierships, and now it looks like they're coming out the other side. And he talked about that journey being really special to him because he understood what it took to win, and then he understood, enjoy it while you're there. Was it a similar journey for you in some ways?
Yeah, I think so. My first year finished out of the playoffs, and then we made playoffs and then made the grand final when you were there in the team, Phil. And you start to think, it could be easy. Like after 3 years, we're in the grand final, and then it was then another kind of 4 years till we made it back to that grand final. Then you win back-to-backs, and you think, this is it. We had a few first yearers in that as well that are like, how easy is this? But yeah, you find out how hard they are to win, and you see with the team now, we haven't won a championship since 2001-2, so you really cherish those moments, and I think that helps you through those really bad years when you're kind of not quite around the mark.
Hey, just quickly, because we've got to go, mate. FIBA rankings came out. Australia's ranked number 1 in FIBA rankings.
Wow.
Just been released. So USA are at 3 and 4. So it's an interesting one. Where do you think the men will finish?
I think they'll medal. The gold medal's wide open. We saw America beat Spain today. Those two teams are going to be right up there, especially once America gets the couple of guys that are still playing in the playoffs back in. I think that'll really help them. So I think it could be America, Spain, Australia. That's my prediction.
Brett Maher, 3-time Olympian, our special guest. Stay with us. Still more to come on the show.